of us at the head of the list.
I'd leave room for a third.
Yeah? Who?
Dunson.
Is he that good?
He taught me.
Yeah.
Your favorite actors and comedians from the golden era of Hollywood led a secret double life. Can you guess what was their biggest secret? Keep watching to find out shocking details of your beloved on-screen legends.
Well, you still around? I thought you didn't like this place. You mean going to or coming from?
Number 15. Spencer Tracy. This Hollywood heavyweight had a career that spanned over 4 decades. To top it all off, he has 9 Oscars under his belt. But behind the glamour of Hollywood, Tracy's personal life was a Hollywood mystery novel. Spencer Tracy was the epitome of success on the silver screen, but behind the screens, he harbored secrets about his private life. Many people have this theory that his Roman Catholic upbringing might have kept him tight-lipped about his true preferences. It looks like Spencer had quite the balancing act going on between fame and faith. Tracy's marriage to Louise Treadwell, though it produced a couple of children, wasn't exactly a Hollywood fairy tale. They never called it quits, but rumor has it that Tracy's Catholic background played a starring role in their separation. But let's talk about Tracy's wild side, shall we? Now, he wasn't your run-of-the-mill leading man. He had a reputation for being quite the party animal. He rubbed his neck with stars like Ingrid Bergman and Hedy Lamarr. Here's where things get really interesting. It's alleged that Tracy had a love affair with actor John Derek. But that's not the most fascinating part about this entire scene. Did you know that Spencer's relationship with Katharine Hepburn, the queen of classic cinema, was just a facade? In fact, Hepburn and Tracy were both gay. According to screen and gay rights activist Larry Kramer, Hepburn and Tracy were paired together by the studio for publicity. This adds another layer to the complex love life of Tracy. Now the burning question on everyone's lips, was Spencer Tracy bisexual? Some people argue that his orientation is beside the point, but you know how it goes in Hollywood. Once the rumor mill starts churning, there's no stopping it. However, it's important to remember the man himself. Tracy was a complex character. He battled demons not only on-screen but also off-screen. Despite his high-profile flings with Hepburn and Loretta Young, he stayed true to his Catholic faith. He never pulled the trigger on a divorce from his wife, yet his talent was undeniable. Back in the 1930s, Hollywood was all about crafting squeaky clean public personas. However, behind the scenes, things were always a tad more complicated. Even more so for this next young budding actor. Do you know he died at such a young age? James Dean was only 24 when he passed away due to an accident.
Take it easy driving. The life you might save might be mine.
Number 14. James Dean. When it comes to the romantic inclinations of James Dean, let's just say there have been a lot of speculation. Now, the thing about Dean is that he's quite a bit like a puzzle. Some pieces are clear, but others are still up for debate. For instance, he had his fair share of public relationships. He was with Barbara Glenn, Pier Angeli, and Ursula Andress. But behind closed doors, well, let's just say there was more to the story. In 1975, Jonathan Gilmour, a close friend of Dean, penned The Real James Dean. In this book, Gilmour claimed that he shared plenty of intimate moments with James Dean. Can you imagine? Cue the gasps. However, even with Gilmour's revelations, the question of Dean's sexuality remains a bit of a mystery. When this giant actor was asked directly about his preferences once, he didn't give a clear answer. He casually stated that he's not a homosexual, but he doesn't plan on going through life with one hand tied behind his back. The sass of James Dean was undeniable. With this, his love life was also a roller coaster of rumors with a side of scandal. Now, do you know who William Bast is? Well, William was Dean's roommate, but he also spilled some details about their relationship. Bast admitted that he and Dean used to experiment with each other. Their relationship was complex and incestuous. However, this wasn't the end of James's sexual escapades. Did you know he was involved with a clergyman? Paul Alexander's biography, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, throws another name into the mix, Pastor James DeWord. By the looks of it, Dean had a thing going on with a clergyman. And if that's not enough shock value for you, we've got some more revelations. Elizabeth Taylor herself hinted that Dean might have confided in her about dark stuff involving a priest after his mom passed away. Now here's where it gets fascinating. Nicholas Ray, the director of Rebel Without a Cause, also spoke out saying Dean swung both ways. So what's the truth? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Some folks think his flings with men were all part of climbing the Hollywood ladder. Others believe it was the real deal. In fact, the Gay Times Reader Awards even crowned him the male gay icon of all time. Are you ready to be truly shocked? Because the next actor is one you'd never expect. Any fans of The Godfather here? Hold on to your seats.
Marlon, what were the shows that you've done in New York? Name one or two for me.
I was in Canada with Catherine Cornell.
Yes.
And I was in Eagle Rampant with Tallulah Bankhead.
Yes.
Number 13, Marlon Brando. We're going to make you an offer you can't refuse. Yep, it's time we enlighten you about the secrets of this beloved actor of all times. It's Marlon Brando's time. You won't believe that this legendary actor's personal life was as enigmatic as his on-screen performances. First off, there's no doubt that this man was a womanizer. He has been married 3 times. Plus, he had closer to 15 children in total from multiple different women other than his wives. However, his marriage didn't stop. Brando was exploring other avenues for pleasure. Whispers about Brando's sexuality have circulated for decades, and all they have done up till now is spark endless speculation. But there's a lot of truth to these speculations. One of the most tantalizing rumors involves Brando's alleged affair with none other than James Dean, the golden boy of Hollywood. Yet James Dean wasn't the only one. According to the exposition in Darwin Porter's biography, Brando Unzipped, Brando's romantic escapades extended to multiple others. This list includes Hollywood legends, including Carrie Grant, Montgomery Clift, and Sir John Gielgud. According to the controversial tell-all book Brando Unzipped, Brando and Grant had a rendezvous during a weekend getaway in San Francisco. Yep, San Francisco, the city of love and scandal. And as if that weren't enough, Grant supposedly had his sights set on actor Stuart Granger. Many believe that he also fell into Brando's web of seduction. If that wasn't enough confirmation, Brando even admitted to his sexual orientation during his lifetime. In a candid 1976 interview with a French journalist, Brando openly admitted to his experiences with homosexuality. He stated that he had had homosexual experiences like a lot of other men during that time. Even if this admission isn't enough, there are more details about Brando's sexual escapades that have come to light. Recently, in 2018, the news of Richard Pryor and Brando's sexual involvement with each other broke on the internet. It was none other than Quincy Jones who suggested that Pryor and Brando were a little more than friends. As it turned out, Quincy was right. Pryor's widow, Jennifer Lee Pryor, didn't deny it. In fact, she took it to Twitter to confirm Jones's revelation. However, Pryor's daughter, Rain, shut down the rumors, stating that her dad was all about the ladies. What's true and what's baloney? We can't say about Richard right now, but this isn't something that isn't out of the ballpark of Brando. Just take his relationship with James Dean. According to the book James Dean, Tomorrow Never Comes, Brando and Dean had a dominant submissive relationship. Yep, the steamy affair just got steamier. It's said that Dean was also emotionally invested. However, Brando was more interested in playing with Dean's submissive side as he was a young and pretty boy. Whatever the case was, Marlon Brando's love life was anything but ordinary. This king of Hollywood ruled the era with steamy affairs, kinky escapades, and a dash of Hollywood intrigue. We're not sure if we can say the same for this next actor. You won't believe that he kept his relationship undercover for 12 years. Number 12. Carrie Grant. Brace yourself here because Grant's romantic entanglements are something straight out of a movie plot. In the 1930s, Cary Grant turned heads with his sophistication, both on and off the screen. But his off-screen adventures drew more attention to him than his on-screen performances. Behind the scenes, Cary Grant shared a mansion in Los Angeles with a fellow actor, Randolph Scott, for over 12 years. The mansion earned its cheeky nickname, Bachelor Hall from here. And despite their public image as ladies' men, whispers about their true preference continuously sparked intrigue within the Hollywood community. This was even after Grant and Scott both tied the knot with women, yet they still continued to share a close bond and even appeared together in fan magazines as budding movie stars. In 1986, during an interview with Barbara Walters, Grant revealed something that was expected. He admitted that even though everyone states that he's gay, he might be, but he doesn't really know. This candid revelation paved the way for more open discussions about sexuality in Hollywood. However, more confirmation about Grant's sexuality would come later. Enter George Burns. Burns was a friend of Grant who added fuel to the fire with his insights into Grant's private life. Biographer Charles Hyam also added to these insights. In his book, The Lonely Heart, Hyam suggested that Grant's homosexuality was more pronounced in his early years. Yet despite all the speculations, Grant didn't change himself. He would fall for Grace Kelly on screen, or he would maintain a close friendship with Scott off camera. After everything, Grant hoped that people would see him for who he truly was, an impeccable actor with tons of talent to give. For decades, Grant graced the silver screen with performances that challenged traditional gender norms and left audiences captivated. But beneath the surface of his charming persona lay a much more complicated narrative, one that still resonates today.
Have a drink.
No. That's what I thought you said. Hey, man, that's...
Number 11. Montgomery Clift. A four-time Academy Award nominee with a talent that left audiences gasping for more, Montgomery Clift was a leading man of the golden age of Hollywood. In the 1950s, Clift was the ultimate Hollywood cool, but unlike many of his contemporaries, Clift's dating life stayed firmly under wraps. But well, it's Hollywood, baby. You can't hide anything from anyone here. Now, Clift did try to keep up the heterosexual facade, but it wasn't much intentional. For instance, take Elizabeth Taylor. He starred with her in plenty of films, and their chemistry was undeniable. It sparked whispers of a romance that went beyond the silver screen. However, according to Debbie Reynolds, who talked about Clift in her memoirs, Clift wasn't exactly playing for just one team. She recalled that Clift and Taylor were cozy, but he always had both boyfriends and girlfriends. Yet the thing is, Clift wasn't your typical Hollywood heartthrob. He had the looks and talent to match, but he also carved his own way. He wasn't afraid to push boundaries both on and off the screen. Take his Broadway debut at the age of 13, or his refusal to be tied down by studio contracts in Hollywood. Clift lived life on his own terms. He commuted between coasts and rewrote the rules of stardom along the way. When his family shed light on Clift's early years, what they revealed was shocking. In a taped phone call with his brother, their mother mentioned that Monty had identified as homosexual from a young age. Some observers suggest that Clift had relationships with women. It was clear that his connections with men held a different significance. For Clift, his relationships with men seemed to be more about physical intimacy rather than deep emotional bonds. However, there was one notable exception. In his later years, he had a relationship with a man named Lorenzo. Now, this wasn't just a casual fling. Clift and Lorenzo shared moments of genuine connection. They indulged in fireside chats and took trips abroad. In fact, Lorenzo even played a crucial role in helping Clift battle his demons. In 1956, Clift had a near-fatal accident. After the accident, Clift's life was never quite the same, but he still excelled in his career. In fact, some argue that his post-accident performances were even more powerful than before, but the alcohol and drug abuse sped up his death. Clift passed away at the age of 45 in 1966. Do you remember the movie Giant? If you were shipping this actor with Elizabeth Taylor, you might need to sit down before hearing this. Number 10. Rock Hudson. It's time to shine a spotlight on one of Hollywood's enduring icons, Rock Hudson, the man, the myth, the legend. But first, let's see the scene. Hudson, with his chiseled jawline and charm, was the epitome of the all-American screen idol. He starred in Giant with Elizabeth Taylor. Not only that, he worked alongside Doris Day for Pillow Talk. This guy was a bona fide superstar of the 50s and 60s. But of course, what you see on screen is not what's always real. While Hudson was dazzling audiences on screen, he was hiding a big secret off camera. Yep, you guessed it, Rock Hudson was gay. And here's the thing, it wasn't a whispers behind closed doors kind of way. Nope, we're talking full-on Hollywood secrecy. Hudson's personal life was a carefully guarded secret. It was tucked away behind a facade of heterosexuality. Imagine the extent. This man went so far as to enter into a marriage with Phyllis Gates. She was the secretary of his agent, Henry Wilson. Now, hold on, this is where things get a bit more interesting. Gates, suspecting her husband's true orientation, hired a private investigator to snoop around a bit. And let us tell you, what they uncovered was shocking. It turned out that Hudson's personal life was anything but conventional. Behind closed doors, Hudson was a manizer. He engaged in relationships with young and attractive men. And get this, he had a contact in West Hollywood who could arrange for handsome companions at the snap of a finger. Can you imagine? But despite his private struggles, Hudson's legacy isn't marked by his on-screen charisma or his secret dalliances. In fact, it's about something much bigger. In 1985, Hudson bravely revealed his AIDS diagnosis. Doing this at a time was a rock star move. It was a disease that was still shrouded in stigma and fear. Inspired by Hudson's battle, Elizabeth Taylor went on to establish a foundation for AIDS research. So, was Rock Hudson the pinnacle of the American dream or a victim of Hollywood's double standards? Well, maybe he was a bit of both, but you can't deny one thing. In a town built on fantasy, sometimes the truth is the hardest role to play, and Hudson did that. If you thought Marlon Brando's revelation was shocking, the next one is going to knock your socks off. Number 9. Richard Pryor. You remember when we talked about Marlon, we mentioned Richard Pryor? This is his story. It all started in February 2018. Jennifer Pryor, Pryor's widow, confirmed long-standing rumors about her husband's intimate affair with the actor Marlon Brando during the 1970s. But it wasn't just Jennifer Pryor making headlines. Quincy Jones, the musician himself, hinted at Brando's dalliances during an interview with Vulture. He revealed a laundry list of high-profile men, including Pryor. Jennifer Pryor didn't shy away from confirming these claims. She asserted that Richard Pryor had never kept his sexuality under wraps from their inner circle. She even mentioned that Pryor had documented his relationships with men in his personal diaries. What's more interesting is that Richard grew up surrounded by sex from nearly the moment he was born. He was raised in prostitution houses that were run by his grandmother. Even though he suppressed his childhood trauma, his early marriages were chaotic and short-lived. One of the incidents that confirmed Pryor's romantic inclinations happened in September of 1977. Richard was invited to present at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles. The agenda of the bowl was to oppose Proposition 6, a Californian anti-gay initiative. He received much applause on the stage after he described the first time he performed oral sex on a man. But by the end of Pryor's life, he remained with Jennifer. Jennifer and Richard Pryor tied the knot in the early 1980s, but then went their separate ways. However, they found their way back in 2001 and remarried. Pryor passed away in 2005. This next actor redefined the norms for all homosexual couples in Hollywood. Can you guess his partner? Watch for yourself and let us know in the comments below. And before you keep watching, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more. You don't want to miss out on other juicy secret revealing videos.
Look, the wedding ring. Turn out the lights.
Number 8. Raymond Burr. Raymond Burr is best remembered for his portrayal of TV legends like Perry Mason and Robert Ironside. He was a towering figure of television during the 50s and 60s and left a permanent mark on the small screen. Still, Raymond's personal life drew much more attention to his sexuality, especially after his death. But let's rewind a bit. In 1984, Burr tied the knot with Isabella Ward. However, their marriage was short-lived and ended in divorce. Fast forward to 1960. During the production of Perry Mason, Burr crossed paths with fellow actor Robert Benavides. And, let us tell you, sparks flew. Burr and Benavides formed a bond that would last a lifetime, quite literally. While Burr often referred to Benavides as his business partner, their relationship went far beyond mere professional ties. They were partners in every sense of the word. They ventured into the world of winemaking together and established a vineyard in California's Sonoma County in the 1980s. Now here's where things get really interesting. In an era when being openly gay in Hollywood was a risky proposition, Burr took a rather unconventional approach. Instead of coming out, he created an elaborate narrative. He weaved the tales of fictional marriages and tragic losses to deflect from his true sexuality. But of course, behind the facade, Burr found happiness in his relationship with Benavides. Their bond, both personal and professional, remained strong for decades. It challenged societal norms and redefined what it meant to be a couple in Hollywood. Sadly, Raymond Burr passed away in 1993, but his stories and the rumors still draw intrigue to his true personality.
I've been thinking things over, and I really believe it would be better for both of us if we admitted we'd made a mistake and got a divorce.
A divorce?
Yeah.
Number 7. Clark Gable. When you think of Clark Gable, what comes to your mind? It's quite simple, really. A dashing leading man with a rugged charm and a string of marriages. In fact, Gable's story is more like a story of many women. However, every actor harbors a secret that's bound to come out. This is why Clark's story is so surprising. Beneath that charismatic facade laid a web of secrets about Clark's romantic preferences. For this, it's suitable that we start from the 1930s. At that time, Gable, fresh off the success of It Happened One Night, was the personification of Hollywood masculinity. But behind the closed doors, there were whispers. Whispers about his possible encounters with men, including actor William Haynes. Now, William Haynes was openly gay. What did this imply for Clark? One infamous incident during the filming of Gone with the Wind is of note here. On the set of the film, director George Cukor made a remark about Gable's past involvement with Haynes. How did Gable react? Gable was so outraged that he refused to return to the set until Cukor was replaced. Regardless, it is important to remember that Gable's early years were tough. His journey to stardom wasn't smooth sailing, yet through it all, he eventually did find fame on the silver screen. After everything, Gable's romantic rendezvous was indeed the stuff of Hollywood legend. From his marriage to acting coach Josephine Dillon to his affair with Carole Lombard, Gable was a man of many women. By the end in 1948, Gable proposed to Nancy Davis. However, his advances were turned down. Do you know who Davis went on to marry? Ronald Reagan. She eventually became the First Lady of the United States. Undeterred, Gable soon found love again with Sylvia Ashley. She was an English model and actress previously married to Douglas Fairbanks Sr. Despite their whirlwind romance, their union lasted just 2.5 years. But hey, in Hollywood, love stories come and go like shooting stars. Gable's final chapter in love unfolded with Kay Williams. They even welcomed a child together, born after Gable's tragic passing. Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't Marilyn Monroe's on set during the filming of The Misfits that brought about Gable's untimely demise. In reality, he was already battling illness and collapsed while changing a tire on a Jeep. After his death, biographer David Brett labeled him as bisexual, citing his relationships with both men and women. The next man is a legend, not only on screen, but the way he navigated his relationships in extreme Hollywood scrutiny. Ready to see who it is? Number 6. Anthony Perkins. Do you remember Norman Bates in the Psycho films? That's Anthony Perkins, and his behind-the-screen story is as interesting as his spine-chilling acting. Now, Perkins wasn't just your average actor. He led a double life. What do we mean? In simple terms, Perkins navigated both heterosexual and homosexual relationships. Did you know that he was married and had 2 children? Regardless, the rumors about his affairs with men were on the top. Perkins' personal struggles came to light in Charles Weinkauf's book, Split Image. The book peels back the curtain on the challenges gay actors faced in the mid-20th century Hollywood. From the pressures of maintaining a facade of heterosexuality to the fear of scandalous exposés, Perkins danced on a tightrope of secrecy. The book also takes a much deeper look into Perkins' relationships. Now, these include his secret encounters in Times Square, but they also include details about his carefully orchestrated dates with actresses to keep up his appearances. But here's the twist. Perkins' marriage to Barry Berenson in 1973 raised eyebrows. There was skepticism. However, in the end, their union seemed genuine. Berenson's love and the birth of 2 sons painted a picture of domestic bliss. But doubts lingered among Perkins' gay friends about his fidelity. Fast forward to the 90s, and the National Enquirer revealed Perkins' battle with AIDS. This confirmed a lot of people's assumptions about his sexuality. His death in 1992 marked the end of an era. Now, this next actor might make you want to rewatch the original Batman series. Plus, you won't believe your ears when we tell you about his romantic escapades. Number 5. Cesar Romero. Imagine a man who starred along icons like Marlene Dietrich and Carole Lombard. That's Cesar Romero for you. In fact, if you remember the Joker in the original Batman film, you'd recognize Romero at a glance. Born in 1907 and passing away in 1994, Romero's career spanned over 6 decades. In his youth, he embodied the Latin lover archetype in romantic comedies and musicals. Side by side, he also captivated audiences as the rogue bandit, the Cisco Kid in Western films. However, it was the portrayal of the Joker in the 1960s Batman TV series that endeared him to fans. Now, despite widespread speculation about his sexuality, Romero never publicly acknowledged being gay. But he didn't shy away from discussing his experiences around it. Romero admitted to having gay friends, attending gay gatherings, and enjoying dancing, but on the front, he maintained a carefully crafted public persona. In a revealing remark later in life, he expressed the challenge of being a closeted gay. It was hard for him to maintain his true self with the image projected by Hollywood. What's interesting here is that his homosexuality was an open secret within the entertainment industry. However, Romero carefully navigated the public to preserve his image as the suave Latin lover. In interviews, he provided candid insights into the complexities of being a closeted gay man in the golden age of Hollywood. It was much harder for people who were Catholic and Latino. Romero's candid discussion with author Bose Hadley reveals the realities of life for gay actors in Hollywood. All of these insights are captured in Hadley's book, Hollywood Gays. Now, have you watched the documentary Tab Hunter Confidential on Netflix? This actor's story might tempt you too, definitely.
You can always tell a Halo girl. You can always tell a Halo girl.
Number 4. Tab Hunter. A strikingly handsome man with golden locks, Tab Hunter was the guy in the 1950s. However, beneath the facade of a heartthrob was a truth that wasn't discovered for a long time. Tab Hunter was gay. Even though movie trailers displayed Hunter's rugged masculinity, they didn't know that Hunter's personal life was far from this. His homosexuality, though an open secret in Hollywood, came to public attention in a scandalous turn of events. In 1950, Hunter found himself involved in a controversy. The Los Angeles police raided a house party he attended. This resulted in his arrest for disorderly conduct. The incident did lay under wraps until 5 years later when the scandal magazine Confidential published it on its front cover. However, the revealing part was the branding of the party. Confidential labeled the party a limp-wristed pajama party. This could have spelled the end of Hunter's rising career. However, Hunter's story took an unprecedented turn. Despite the scandal, he persisted. He penned his autobiography, Tab Hunter Confidential, The Making of a Movie Star, in 2005. Later on, he collaborated with Jeffrey Schwartz's illuminating documentary of the same name in 2015. In these candid accounts, Hunter bared his soul. He reflected on the challenges of navigating Hollywood's treacherous waters as a closeted gay man. Against the odds, Hunter's career endured. This was only possible because of the support from Warner Brothers studio president Jack Warner. Warner waged a vigorous campaign to preserve Hunter's image. Doing this, he ensured that Hunter continued his presence in the limelight. However, after parting ways with Warner Brothers, Tab Hunter's film career hit a rough patch. His clean-cut image seemed out of place in an era dominated by counterculture films like Easy Rider and 5 Easy Pieces. For many actors, this might have signaled the end of the road, but not for Hunter. In Jeffrey Schwartz's documentary, Tab Hunter Confidential, Hunter emerges as a man who found peace with himself regardless of his declining fame. He adapted to the changing landscape of Hollywood. Around this time, Hunter also reconnected with his Catholic faith. He reconciled it with his identity as a gay man. It wasn't until 2005 that Hunter publicly came out, preempting a tell-all book that was in the works. His memoir, co-written by Eddie Muller, begins with the defiant declaration, "I hate labels." Labels or no labels, this next actor's secret double life is one for movies. Do you know for how many years Herbert Howe kept his story a secret? All his life.
I see. Small but suspicious. Suspicious, Joseph.
Number 3. Ramon Navaro. The Mexican-American actor Ramon Navaro rose to fame as a rival to the iconic Rudolph Valentino. After Valentino's untimely death in 1926, Navaro solidified his status as Hollywood's quintessential Latin love. His charisma and on-screen presence made him a sought-after leading man. However, Navaro's career had a rough patch when MGM decided not to renew his contract in 1935. Struggling to find roles independently, Navaro faced professional setbacks that challenged his status in Hollywood. But behind all this, Navaro was fighting with another demon. He was struggling with his homosexuality, which conflicted with his Roman Catholic upbringing. Despite this, Navaro didn't hold back. He engaged in several relationships with men during the peak of his career. However, the one that remains a classic was with the journalist Herbert Howe. The romance between Ramon Navaro and Herbert Howe was one for the ages. Their passionate affair remains secret, as it was a fact that would have rocked the industry. Herbert Howe was a prominent Hollywood publicist and beloved figure in fan magazines. Born on September 28, 1893 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Howe cultivated an image of sophistication and charm. His knack for writing fan magazine articles earned him his acclaim as one of the best in the business. It was during a voyage to Europe in late 1923 that Howe's path interlocked with Navaro's. Navaro was on board the same ship, en route to film The Arab in Tunis. By the journey's end, a passionate love affair had ignited between the two men. Regardless, Howe never publicly disclosed the details of their relationship. Despite their deep connection, the romance eventually came to an end. Howe remained tight-lipped about the specifics. While Navaro's career waned in the following decades, Howe continued his work in Hollywood. Tragically, Navaro's life took a dark turn in 1968. He fell victim to a brutal crime, allegedly lured by brothers Paul and Tom Ferguson under false pretenses. Navaro was subject to torture and ultimately murdered in his own home. The sensational nature of his death thrust Navaro's sexuality into the spotlight. As for Howe, he passed away on October 12, 1959. He took the secrets of their romance with him to the grave.
It's the final estimate on my time on the table. The entire procedure should take about 4 hours.
Number 2. Robert Reed. Robert Reed's journey was a tale of talent, success, and the hidden struggles of a man living a double life. Starting his acting career with a solid foundation, Reed quickly made his mark in the world of television and Broadway. His breakthrough role came in 1961 with the dramatic TV series The Defenders. In 1969, Reed stepped into the shoes of quintessential family man Mike Brady in the iconic sitcom The Brady Bunch. This was a role that would etch his name into television history. Even as he charmed audiences as the patriarch of The Brady Bunch, Reed kept his personal life tightly under wraps. His on-screen image was that of a devoted family man, but personally, Reed struggled with the fear of revealing his true self. He was concerned that his true sexuality would surface. Behind the scenes, he kept his private life hidden from public scrutiny. In 1954, he married Marilyn Rosenberger. However, he experienced the pressures of conformity in an industry where being true to oneself was often seen as a liability. Because of this, his marriage ended in 1959. This marked the beginning of Reed's journey into self-discovery. But the real discovery came after his death. On May 12, 1992, in Pasadena, California, Reed's life was cut short. Now, it was initially attributed to colon cancer, but his passing was later revealed to have been hastened by AIDS. His daughter, Karen Baldwin, remembers him fondly, but those who knew him well recall the burden of living a double life. Lawrence Henderson, his co-star, stated that his life could have been better if he wasn't forced to live a double life. Now, before we reveal to you the final actor, we have a question. Would you choose your love life over your career? If not, the next actors might make you.
Mr. Benny, I've always enjoyed seeing you on the stage. Really? In fact, the first time I saw you was in, Chicago.
Number 1. William Haynes. In the glamour of 1930s Hollywood, William Haynes was a man whose one decision changed the trajectory of his life. Haynes had risen to stardom swiftly. His charismatic presence graced the silver screen in numerous hits of the 1920s, but in 1933, a dark shadow occupied his career. It was when studio mogul Louis B. Mayer confronted him about rumors regarding his sexuality. Mayer proposed a lavender marriage to conceal Haynes' relationship with one of his partners of 7 years, Jimmy Shields. Unfazed, Haynes asserted his truth. He was already married to Jimmy. Born in Staunton, Virginia, Haynes was drawn to the allure of Hollywood from a young age. His rise began after winning the New Faces of 1922 contest. This catapulted him into the movie industry's spotlight. By 1926, he was a household name. His on-screen persona as a charming young rebel made him a fan favorite. Off-screen, Haynes found love in Jimmy Shields. They met during a trip to New York in 1926. From there, their bond deepened. They forged a life together in Hollywood. The couple was very well liked by Jean Harlow and Joan Crawford. Their love endured regardless of the challenges. One of the scariest hurdles of their life was when they were encountered by the Ku Klux Klan in 1936. The Klan falsely accused and assaulted them. Haynes and Shield found solace in each other's arms, even as illness befell Haynes. His passing in 1973 left Shields in grief. In a heart-wrenching farewell, Shields said goodbye to a world that had known and celebrated their love for 47 years. They are both buried side by side at Woodlawn Cemetery in Santa Monica. That's all for now. If you liked it, your subscription will help out a lot. We'll see you in the next video.